I wonder if that's a constellation of anything. First thing I think of is a chicken. What if it's dick butt? Oh, shit. Wait, what the heck? Where am I? Oh. Sup, Pure? How goes it? Relaxing? Cool. Relaxing's good. Go ahead, wake me up. Go ahead, wake me up! Thought so. That's 2. Now how the heck am I gonna wake or get that one over there? I don't even know. That is the biggest conundrum I have. It's like, boop. How the heck? Hello? How goes it? You know what's so funny is that, like, I was thinking about this part of the puzzle while I was getting up. I was laying down and I was like, okay, how the heck am I gonna get through this? And then I was like, well, the one clue they gave me is if I die. Did you ever get caught without your lantern in your hands? Yes, I did. He goes, numb. Yeah. I was like, no, I loved you. You couldn't just blow me out. Minus 1 neck. Yeah. So, the thing, clue number 3 was putting down a lantern and then going over here to see this, but I'm like, how in the heck? And plus, I'm already dead, so it's just like a one way in, one way out. Or one way in, no way out. Kind of thing. So I'm like, what do I do? This is the part of the game where it's like, alright, once you complete this, there's no way out. So I'm like, what do I do? Maybe it's weak enough for me to... And I feel like the 3 whatchamacallits was a little bit of a red herring. You know, finding the tablets with the door. The 3 of them. But on the other hand, it gave me like the error reports, which gave me the hints as to what to do. So like, this part right here is what confuses me. It's like I'm almost there, but I don't know how to... Wait. I think I know. Alright, how many pieces are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? So... No way! Yeah, I figured out the other two. Hell yeah. But what was the point of having those two over here? They have both code, or they both have codes, but you can't find them in game? What? How the heck does that make any sense? So like I have to dig around outside of the game? What kind of Metal Gear Solid bullshit is that? Really? Is it through any, like, official means, though? The codes? Oh, fuck. They're red herrings. You're never supposed to figure them out. They just exist for the sake of existing. Oh. But just in case. Star. Crescent moon. Waning moon. Eye. Star. Yeah, I was too tired to figure this out last night. All I got was the one thing, and that was it. I'm a little nervous. Now what? Oh, this is nerve-wracking. I hate this. I hate this so much. Oh shit. Are you sup- are you okay? I guess I'm gonna die. I guess it's like one way in, one way out kind of thing. Oh, what happened to your antler? Aw, what happened? Hi. Hello. Prisoner. Oh. You were the one who woke up. And you turned off the... You were here before the Nomai? Oh. And then they put it back on. Yeah. You're actually... Oh no, never mind. Yeah. Like that. Ah, yeah, I was right. That brief moment called a Nomai. And the reason why it's not communicating now is because it's being contained. It all ties together and I love it. Okay. And then the interloper farted on everybody. Yeah, that makes sense. That's so sad. If you do the DLC before learning about all that stuff, you'll barely see any during your memory. I'm like crying now. I was like, oh no. Here you go. Or actually, I should go back. Get this. You're welcome, be free. Wait, what am I gonna do here? Should I have went with him, or what's going on? What is this, like three-way chess? Oh. Yeah, I figured it out. Like, this morning while I was, like, making my coffee, I was just, like, laying there thinking about, like, how the heck am I gonna solve this? And then I was like, wait, there was the one clue about killing myself. Or, the person dying and then not being able to wake up. So I was like, do I kill myself? And I was right. Where'd you go? Oh, yeah. Because immediately when I, like, started actually thinking about that, like, when I'm not so tired, I was like, oh, that should have been obvious. But then that left this issue. And I was like, okay, but the only thing that I could think of is, like, I don't even have the code for this. And I was like, what if I drop my thing over there and then come back here and I messed around with it, and that messed around with the levels of the platforms, and lo and behold, yeah, I'm smart. But oh. Oh shit. Dang it! Was I supposed to do that? Man. Was I supposed to do that shit? Come on. I got distracted too, so I'm like, now what? Follow, the prisoner showed me a vision revealing the actions he took that resulted in a journal. Refinement. I used the vision to torch to show my knowledge. The prisoner. Now what? I guess, yeah. That's the only thing I can think of. change what I'm gonna do next. I probably should have followed him into the platform. Just to see where he actually went. Maybe. I'm about to do that part again because I don't want to miss anything. Meh. Meh. Oh, you still gotta see my first VOD? Yeah. Thank you. And, what was it? Yeah, that was like, okay, so like, I figured out the one thing, and then I was stuck on the second thing for a little bit, and then this morning I figured that part out, and I was like, I guess I'll just see what happens with the third one, so I jumped right in, and bing bang boom, called it good. Everything just kind of fell into place. I was literally at that part last night, but I just couldn't for the life of me stay awake long enough. And then I'm not sure what I want to do after this, because I still kind of want to stream stuff, but I'm not entirely sure what I want to do. Maybe more Final Fantasy 14? Maybe? Yeah. Yeah, yesterday was just kind of a sleepy day. Wait, which way? Somebody get the game. I don't think anybody, anything can top this for a while. I don't think any game can top this. And that is, like, high praise coming from me. Because, like, I thought Endwalker was like amazing. Shadowbringers was amazing. Now this. Last of Us was amazing, I thought. The way you could tell, like, if I was obsessed about a game is if I looked more into the game besides just the actual game itself. So, like, when Last of Us first came out, I was, like, obsessed with all of the behind-the-scenes stuff. So I was, like, watching all kinds of behind-the-scenes and all that stuff. I played it again, also, after that. And then, like, I was obsessed with it. And then even with this game, I was like obsessed with stuff with this game too. I was looking into the songs. I'm about to delve more into the lore with the DLC. Watch more Lore Explorer stuff. And then see like more of the behind the scenes stuff too as well. What else? Yeah. Zoop. Here we go. The Noclip documentary. Oh, for 14 or something. Outer Wilds? Ooh, there is? I haven't seen it yet. So that'll be the next thing after this. Because I am invested as fuck. Oh, yeah. You're gonna have to DM me the link. Heh, mine. Zoop. Done. Thank you. What's on the other side of this thing? Man. I wonder if we notice in real life any supernovas in real life if they look like this. Like that over there. I think the coolest thing they did with this DLC was like, okay, we have 3 of those tablet things, and we messed them up. Alright, we sent them somewhere. Now we want you to find it, and they're like, ah, nope, we messed with those too. That was probably like the coolest thing I've seen. Just like when you find it, you're like, what the fuck, really? There's an ending if you remove the core and go to sleep. Oh, in the DLC? Oh, or the DLC area? Oh, that's funny. No, you don't hear me. Fuck nut. Should I feldspar it, guys? Oh, fuck. Lame, what the hell? Fine. Man. How long are the is the no clip documentary? $50? Okay, not bad. I wonder if I could get away with watching it on stream. That'd be cool. Probably. Yeah. I'd love to watch it, so yeah. You know what? Let's just watch it together. I don't freaking care. When was this game released? Yeah, like full game, not like alpha, but full game. I don't know what my hands are doing. June. Where the strangers do know. You know the rules, so do I. Who commit with what I'm waiting for? You know the rules. 3 game ideas? Ah. I just wanna tell you how I'm feeling. That is so weird. My knees are up here. Suggestion. Slap. That interloper, I feel like, put a wrench in everything. If it wasn't for that interloper, I think the Nomai would have been still alive. Whatever they were planning on doing with the supernova would have been done. What do you think would happen if the Nomai was still alive? And here we are. What do you think would have happened? Like a hypothetical, if that interloper wasn't here at all. Do you think your race would have evolved the way it did if the Nomai were still alive? Possibly. Maybe not like the way we're standing on two legs and all that stuff. I think what would have happened was like they'll probably get like something to contain us in, like, you know, like we're axolotls or something like that, and then we're just observed in like kind of a zoo setting, maybe. Stanley Parable is neat. Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah. Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, the Stanley Ultra Deluxe Cyber. What? 3 game. Oh, suggestions. You mean? Security breach. Or would you be wild, four-eyed frog? Yeah, so I think we would be definitely the latter. I was afraid I was gonna lift off. That would have been so bad. Oh my god, just take it. Oh jeez. You're... I got a jar of dirt. I got a jar of dirt. Guess what's inside it? The Stanley Parable, is that the one where like there's a narrator and then they like you can go like, nah, fuck you. Oh, the other one that I wanted to get into was the what was it? The one where there was like stories and every ending has a bad ending or something like that. No, fuck off. I don't even know what to set him off that time. What the fuck? I'm about to freaking feldspar the shit out of that area. Because fuck that. That fucking sucks, man. What the hell? I just want to have a jam session with my elk daddy. What is that game called? Where like you have to think of every scenario and then like there's 4 characters. It was like a hero, a maiden, an imp, I think, and like the demoness. And then you have to like think of every scenario and all that. And they all, like for the most part, end in like have a bad end of sorts. I want to play that one. Although I kind of I got spoiled on it because I already know the ending. But that was one that I kind of want to play-ish. Although I have not seen Stanley Parable all the way through. All I saw was like the you know, Shy Lily having her like gremlin laugh moments. Oh, what about that one game where like it's a top-down thing and I guess something happened with the wife's sister and then you keep restarting or whatever because of like some kind of thing. I'm not entirely sure. Forget it. I like games that are like they have quirky puzzles but also have a rich story. Sounds familiar, but I don't know. It's like it's a top-down thing, and then like you gotta. There's like a time limit also in that one where like somebody's gonna come to the door and then kill you or something like that, or like some FBI or something pops up or whatever. I'm not sure. 12 minutes, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what it's called. I've only seen it. And then 12 minutes? Yeah, 12 minutes? Okay. I can look that one up. It's like, I hate when time is involved, but I also like when time is involved. Oh, really? So they kind of already played with like the time aspect. Same publishers as Outer Wilds. Oh, alright. Duly noted. Because I like their shit so far. You know what's another publisher that I think is pretty good is Devolver Digital. A lot of their games are pretty good too. I'm a huge fan. Because they they have a lot of really fun indies, yes. Actually, let me see if it's done cooking. Oh no, it's not done cooking. Oh shit. Wrong rotation. Ah! Where'd you come from? Gah! Oxygen tank damaged. My friend Pedro was awesome. Oh yeah, that's another good game that I wanted to get into too. Donut Country or County. Yeah. Is there any fun like multiplayer ones? Made by these peeps. I'm curious how they handle multiplayer. Who made Outer Wilds, by the way? Mobius Digital? Ah. So pretty much anything with digital in their name is really good. This was a tech game made for a ow 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 ow. What the fuck? I'm glad they followed through with it because this game's amazing. Oh my god. That was like twice already. Vinesauce played the alpha way back. Ah, I see. And look how far they've come. Oh my god, I'm looking at you. Now the game's going like, ha, you're not gonna see the ending. You're gonna spend 2 more hours just trying to do this last part. Alright, where the heck? Where the heck? Okay, that was actually on me. Oh, here we go. Alright, bye bitches! Alright, where am I supposed to go now? Where is the sun? I feel like I'm gonna fly into it. Okay, there we go. Wait, did I not mark it? What the hell? Oh, there it is. There's that bitch. Please, I just want to see the ending. I just want to see the ending, dang it. Stupid. Anglerfish bullshit. No end for you, only loop. Fuck loop. Yeah, I seriously don't know what set off. Oh, is it because I hit the wall? And it's like, hey, I heard you, you little bitch. Third time's a charm. The option. I'm more inclined to go for. Have the option to fly super fast through here if they do hear me. I am literally not, like, almost literally not breathing around here. I mean, like, why am I rushing when I have all the time in the world to finish this part of the game? Oh, whoa, that was weird. I clipped through the... We all know. Here we go. Alright, so I'm gonna do what I didn't do last time is wait, what? What's up? If you look around, you can see the shield thing blocking the signal. A little probe. Wait, what do you mean? What? Where? Look up above the eye. Or around there somewhere. Oh, do I go down or no? Not yet. It's up left. Is it that? Little satellite thing? Oh. Blocking the signal. Oh, from the DLC you mean, huh? Ah, gotcha. That makes sense. Alright, so last time I sat here and watched the sun just blow out, so let me just shoot it down. Actually, I could have just jumped down and then see it from here, actually. There it is. Oh, right? What do you mean? What happened? Yeah. There it is. There it goes. Oh, this part. Oh my gosh. Shoot your scout here before. Oh yeah. I have actually. Just like Yup. I've done that also. Last time. Rock strikes again. Fucking rock. Piece of shit rock. Goes to show, like, it doesn't take enough to, like, startle me. It's just... It doesn't even have to be, like, scary. It's just jump scares just fucking get me. All the time. It's better scary to me. Yeah, when it's just dead silent and it's just pitch black. Hi. Oh, yeah, the space tendril things. With me, it feels like a neuron circuit of sorts. Oh, yeah. Look! That's a tall ass tree, or was it floating? Ha. I eat that universe. I eat that universe too. Ooh, I'm gonna eat this one too. Nom 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 nom. I'm gonna eat this universe. Nom 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 nom. Nom. Or can we find ours? Stupid rock. I hate that unidentified signal nearby. The shit. Nah. Oh, hi. It's me! I know, I didn't get to see it the last time because I was like too much of a chicken. Hey, Esker. Hello. Do you hear music? I forget if this is the stupid anglerfish bullshit. You know, like, yeah. Spinny spin. Hello? If I remember correctly, the boom click 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 one is the one with the stupid anglerfish. I hate it. Ah! Oh no, it's the drum. Never mind. Oh, yellow. Ow. I'll go after that one later. No, this one's the one with the stupid anglerfish. Hiya, bitch. It's a killer fish. Oh, there we go, Solanum. A quiet shade. Across Old Park. In the ancient glade, it's always dark. Wait, what? Wait, where? Did I get it? Or no? I didn't. No, I didn't. Oh, there we go. I was trying to remember. Yeah. What if I died in here? And we're like, oh, what are they looking at? Oh. Hello? Ah. Eh. Oh. Ah. Eh. Oh. Ah. Ah. Oh, dang it. Oh, hello. Are you gonna join them too? Ah. Oh, I forget. There we go. Whee! Yeah! Woo! Wah. Hello? Eh. Is it moving? Or am I moving? Why is it underground? Oh. Oh, hi. Oh. Oh. Hmm. So sad. And then, therefore, I go out. Oh. Hmm. When my kind found the eye and realized that what it was capable of, they were terrified. It was too difficult a truth. Like a light too bright to look upon directly, it burned them. What they could not unlearn was hidden away in darkness, obfuscated, then lost. They did not want to see their story end. My kind weren't always like this. We weren't always so afraid. I did what I could to set things right, yet I am still of my kind. And you know what they did. I cannot promise our fear won't stain your mind. And so, a choice. Are you certain you want to remember me? Join us. Let's see what happens. I don't want to repeat my kind's mistake, but if you're willing to take the risk, then so am I. I'm gonna cry. Yes. It is Feldspar. Yeah. hadn't dared to hope that anyone would hear the signal. For now for how briefly I set it free, yet here we are. Are you ready for the final step? Yes. Then it's time. Time to send our spark out into the darkness. To jam out somewhere, yo. How beautiful. It's different than I envisioned. Whatever happens next, I do not think it is to be feared. How long has it been since I got to make music with everyone around the campfire? Happy we're all here. Here it is. The end, everyone. And here we go. I can still rotate and stuff. Oh, fuck you, I'm backing up. You ain't taking me alive! Oh, fine. It still got me a second time. Actually, it probably like hit me worse this time than like the first time. Buttons. Acquired. Technical support, big red button. I like the bass guitar part. Sudo remove tac RF. What the heck? Red Lounge Pizzanista. Oh. And that's the guitar part in the lodge or whatever. Ooh. Halo. My gosh, that is such a good game. Oh, I gotta see the one thing where like I take the core and then I go to the the one place and go to sleep. Let me see what happens. Oh, is it pointing at us? Come on, please point at us. Aw, you bitch ass probe thingy. Oh, fine. Your favorite alternate endings? Going to sleep. Excuse me. I was hoping that the poster would do something like that too, where you just like look away and then moon disappears. That'd have been funny if it did. Oh, did you know that there's a mod where you can play multiplayer in this game? Yeah, you did? Ah. Do we all get, like, different ships? Or do we all share the one? Meh. Strangers in the night. I also want to look into the voice acting. I hear that the community made like voice lines for all the characters also. So that'll be interesting to see too as well. Wait, what? Mine. Bye. No. Oh my god, why does it feel like I'm like fat? No. Alright, I don't even know if I can take it in there with me, huh? Wait. You still in chat? Is it just like or do I just take the lantern thing and then go to sleep? Just take it, run, and then go to sleep. I did it again. Sleep, just sleep. Okay. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, it is fine. Over here is fine. Yeah, over here is fine. Is there a specific spot that I gotta be at to see something, or what? Or just wait here until end of times? No? Okay, just wait here. Oh, really? Where at? Aside from over here? Is it that thing? here? Oh shit, I can't see shit. Oh no. Ah, well, fuck. Damn it, pal! It's like right there, I guess. Oh. Do I, by the way, like, do I look into the sky as the thing is ending at all? I wish I could see the sun from here. I'm just going, am I in the right spot for it? Nope, I had to be a little bit over. Now beyond the reach of the supernova, you find yourself the only inhabitant of an abandoned world. Surely something here must be edible. No! Is there any other interesting ones? Nope. Hold on a moment. So what now? No more Outer Wilds. Hold on. Let me pull up the one thing. Mhm.
Hello there, traveller. Please come, sit down, rest your weary legs, grab a marshmallow. I've got a story to tell. Today we take a look at the design of Outer Wilds, an award-winning critical hit which has been slowly building a cult following since its release in May of 2019. This is really a game that's best played without knowing anything about it, so at a certain point we're going to hit pause and let those of you who have yet to experience Outer Wilds an opportunity to get off. But before we get to that stage, it's probably about time we talked about the unique origins of this game. Outer Wilds was designed by a small studio in Los Angeles called Mobius Digital Games, but years before, it started out as a student project. Alex Beecham was completing his master's thesis at the University of Southern California. His thesis project would be a game that attempted to break new design ground, while pulling in several disparate ideas from some old student prototypes.
We wanted to make a game where you're exploring a world as it changes over time in like really dramatic ways, just to get away from the idea that game environments are these static things. It works well with space exploration, of course. Wanted to make something where you fly a spaceship around, and to get to that feeling of it's super, it's dangerous. You really shouldn't be in space. Really wanted to do Newtonian flight mechanics, where you're like just drifting with your ship and the planets are hurtling around the sun. And then the other part of the really core part of the thesis was the idea that make a game where the only reason for players to explore is to sort of satiate their own curiosity. It is inspired by this part in The Wind Waker where there's this like photographer and he has an art gallery. And you can talk to him about the paintings he's put up on the wall, and they're all actual photos taken from real locations in the game. And it's cool because you see a photo and you're like, wow, I wonder what this weird statue is. And he will like tell you where he took the photo. And so if you're curious, you can go check it out. But the game isn't telling you to do that. Outer Wilds in some ways was a response to Skyward Sword because I'm a huge Zelda fan, and Skyward Sword is emblematic of just all of the things that I just pain me to see the Zelda series doing. And it goes with the space exploration theme, where we wanted to make a space exploration game where the reason you're exploring space is to learn about the world and to gain knowledge and not like to conquer planets. Our ideal version of real-world space exploration, more in the vein of 2001 Apollo 13. The things we learned at USC was like the value of playtesting, the fact that no matter what you do, you're going to put it in front of somebody and it's going to break immediately. I went there along with Loan Berneau, who was the other designer on Outer Wilds. We were in the same class together. Our favorite classes, I know, for us were the ones that kind of let you do it, like you do a project like thesis prep. You kind of go off and do something maybe on a prompt, but then you all get together and you sort of talk about and critique each other's projects. We had a class at the USC, the Master's Interactive Media Master's Program. It was called World Building. I don't even remember what the assignment prompt. We just had to like build a thing, build a world or whatever. And it's just like, I wonder if I can like make a spaceship that flies in Unity. Was sort of, and I got it working. It's just like a little like physics box. You walk inside of it and walk around, go to a cockpit and like lift off and fly around just like a terrain height map. What would spherical planets like Mario Galaxy style, but maybe a bit bigger in first person be like? And I made a planet that was bombarded by meteors and broke apart, and a bunch of asteroids with mushrooms on them and a lighthouse in the fog with these big anglerfish. And then in the thesis prep, we had this prompt called do something with the uncertainty principle. And that led to this prototype of there's the cabin and all these trees, and they would move when you looked away and just sort of shift around. And then there was this other project where you flew a bunch of these little model rockets and then had to get into a big rocket. And the idea was that once you've played, even though it's all virtual, once you've played with like the small version of it, the real version feels dangerous. And so that was like just a one-off thing. There was one where you threw a probe and had a video. So just like all these different ideas that sort of just got duct taped together. And then the final one I think that really mattered was, because the point of this class was to sort of figure out what we wanted to do with our thesis. And I just pretty much couldn't let that spaceship from the previous class go, even though it was sort of like silly.
What
it's just
school
like,
did they go to?
we're supposed
Did
to be
he
doing
mention?
stuff that like kind of pushes the medium or whatever. And I'm just like, I just want to play with the spaceship. But one of my colleagues, Simon Wiscombe, was like, you should make an emotional prototype, because I was struggling with sort of like, what is this going to be? And so instead of doing all this mechanical stuff, I made this quick prototype where you roast a marshmallow over a fire, and then you're on a little planet and the sun explodes. And you just sort of sit there, and it's like a fireworks show. It was like very rough, but it was still like kind of pretty. And then, all the planets went out one by one, and then finally it hits you. At the end of thesis, we had the solar system. We had the planets conceptually as they are now. Some of them changed somewhat, but that's more or less the version that was at IGF in 2015.
And the award for excellence in design goes to Outer Wilds.
So when we started Outer Wilds, we just wanted to make something where the only point of exploring was to learn more about the world, and there would be no objectives, there would be no missions, and we just weren't sure people would be into it. So thank you for being curious to explore this janky world we created. And a big thanks to the USC Games program, the Laguna College of Art and Design, and Atlantic University College. Clearly could not have done it without any of them.
I remember sitting at GDC, because I was at GDC at IGF that year, and I saw Outer Wilds winning the Excellent in Design Award, and I was just like, this game doesn't look very good. I'm like, what's up with this weird student project winning all these awards? I could make better art than that. And so then when I heard about the job, I was like, I could make better art than that. I guess I'll play the alpha build that's free on the internet. And then it was 4 a.m, and I was trying to get to the center of Dark Bramble, and I was like, okay, I have to work on this game. And then 2 weeks later, I moved here and worked on it.
All right, the 2015 Seamus McNally Grand Prize goes to Outer Wilds.
Thank you so much. This is insane, and I'm just tremendously grateful for the team and for all of their hard work, all of our crazy players and people who traded stories on the internet. Thank you for exploring and just everything. Thank you.
Usually a story like this would end when somebody won an award, but the timeline of Outer Wilds doesn't exactly follow a straight path. Winning the IGF did change everything for Alex. Suddenly he found himself at the helm of a game that a bunch of people wanted to fund and publish. But we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, so let's rewind. After he'd left school, Alex went to work on Project Spark in Seattle, but had returned to LA to work at a new studio founded by his former classmate Loan and a surprising benefactor. Actor and producer Masaoka was interested in starting a video game studio. Before his breakthrough role in Heroes, he had worked at ILM, creating visual effects for movies, including the Star Wars prequels.
Wow!
He had approached the head of the department at USC about hiring one of their students. Loan was recommended, and the two founded Mobius.
I think he's always been, a very creative person, and video games were always a big part of his life. I know he was a huge World of Warcraft player. He cares very much about the team itself and our work culture and the way we collaborate and that sort of stuff. So it's been really great.
In the early days, Mobius worked on mobile games like Terra Chroma and Beacon 38, and after a few months in Seattle, Alex moved back to join the team. His side project, Outer Wilds, wasn't part of the Mobius portfolio, but after his success at IGF, it had made sense for the entire team to focus on it. Alex signed a deal with Massey to bring it in-house. They hired Wesley as art director and attempted to secure more funding by being the first game to launch a FIG campaign. The original idea was to give them an extra year to polish this version of the game and to get it out the door. But this loop didn't exactly go according to plan. During this year, they were approached by Annapurna about publishing the game, but Annapurna didn't want a flipped student project. They wanted the best possible version of Outer Wilds. So after a year of work, most of the art had to be redone, but this extra time also allowed much of the more interesting elements of story and world building to be added to the game.
Early on, there was the idea for the structure of the game was that we're going to have these 4 major secret locations. They were each going to answer a major question about the world. That we were going to try to get players curious about, and then everything else in the world was going to point to those. And each curiosity, I think, was going to have about 3 sort of connecting clues. The idea was the clues would point to each other and also point to the curiosity and have the clues. And that structure's sort of still there, but we had added a bunch of other clues pointing to clues, pointing to, it got more complicated.
Friends, we've reached a fork in the road. If you have yet to play Outer Wilds, then this is your opportunity to get off.
Bye!
Hit subscribe, smash that like button, close your browser, and boot up your favorite video game machine. We're going to try and skirt around solutions and some of those bigger reveals, but as a general rule, we're entering the spoiler dimension here, so you've been warned. Ready? Alright.
Alright, bye!
Let's meet the planets.
Yes.
I do remember it was early in thesis year. I wish I had a picture of it, but I just remember there was a whiteboard, and I just started drawing just ideas on the whiteboard, and then just circling 5 or 6 of them. And one was the Hourglass Twins. One was just a bunch of thorns stuck together. And Brittle Hollow was sort of from that world building assignment, like meteors hitting a planet that breaks apart. One was a gas giant, but just like conceptually, not like the way it is in the game. Oh, and then a comet, just because we're like, elliptical orbits are cool. It'll look cool on the map. Let's throw a comet in. Maybe if it gets near the sun, we can do something with heat.
The joke we always make about Outer Wilds is it's the game you're not supposed to make. Because like the way you do nice lighting in games is by static objects that don't move. Everything in Outer Wilds is always moving. The way you like make games is on a grid in Maya. Everything in Outer Wilds is on a sphere. Any like thing you expect out of game development, we just kind of had to throw away and figure it out. And so each planet had like its own weird problems to solve, where it's like, you know, we think we figured out how to make the terrain on Timber Hearth, and you go to the Hourglass Twins and it just doesn't work at all.
When Wesley applied for the job at Mobius, he had a few things going for him. He had worked on a number of large projects, including EverQuest, Microsoft Flight, and HoloLens. But before he worked in game development, Wesley spent his youth growing up in the Santa Cruz Mountains, on a campground surrounded by redwoods. So when it came to creating striking visuals for each of the planets, he knew exactly where to pull inspiration from.
Early on, we decided to reference national parks. Timber Hearth is a combination of Yellowstone and Sequoia National Park, and a little bit of Mount Rainier too, because on the surface you kind of have like the alpine trees. Brittle Hollow, we looked at like Greenland and Iceland, like the basalt rock stuff, which at the time there was like no games that did that, and then every game that's come out in the last 10 years has had that environment in it. Giant's Deep is probably the least based on an actual park. It's sort of loosely inspired by like the Santa Cruz like beach cliffs where I grew up.
And then our friend Dark Bramble.
You know, it's your friendly neighborhood plant.
The stage was set. Mobius had established its solar system. 6 unique worlds locked in a celestial fire circle the player would dance again and again. Each of these worlds was designed to be unique, and so each of them was a unique design challenge. The clock is ticking here, folks, but I still think we have enough time to take a trip around the solar system.
The first one we did after the Fig campaign was Timber Hearth. We worked on the village, which shouldn't have been the first thing that we did because it's one of the most complex areas in the game. I think we remade the village about 6 times throughout development. The village was sort of like we would keep coming back around to it every time we would improve the art style. It's like, all right, how can we make the village better again? We need to like fix all these things because, you know, playtests would show that people weren't finding the right tutorials.
There were a lot of problems with that version of the village, but people also just weren't excited to go into space because everyone they were talking to was like, why would you do that? Why would you go explore the cosmos? Really early on, they were like kind of antagonistic about the idea of going into space. It was like, okay, we're gonna make, the player's gonna be the one who's like excited to go into space, and everyone else is like, don't do it. Like, oh, this is having the opposite effect. And so Kelsey and I talked and came up with the idea of, okay, you're the newest astronaut in the space program, your village has a space program, people actually want to do this stuff. It's a bit quirky, but we're gonna get you excited about space by having everyone else on some level be excited about space.
The last version of the writing for Hornfels, who is he's the person who gives you the launch code, and he's also the only mandatory conversation in the entire game. And you know, initially we're trying things like giving the player the option to ask what their mission was or where to go next, and then he would go like, yeah, it's up to you. And what we ended up with instead was we reversed it. You as a player, what do you want to do next? That ended up really working, like surprisingly well. And because, you know, it's a selection, we gave them a few ideas too, right? It's like if they didn't know what to do, we still gave like, yeah, there are some things you could be interested in.
I want her to do everything.
Giant's Deep was originally just going to be a gas giant. It wasn't going to have an ocean, but we wanted there to be islands like floating in the sky. But we were like, how are we going to get islands? Like, why? Like, how are we going to get that to work physics-wise? Also, like, just conceptually. And we're like, well, maybe there are 2 layers of fluids of different densities.
I just realized you might not be able to hear me very well.
Then we're going to toss them up with tornadoes because we can do that.
Hold on, let me rewind a bit because I missed it.
Giant's Deep was originally just going to be a gas giant. It wasn't going to have an ocean, but we wanted there to be islands like floating in the sky. But we were like, how are we going to get islands? Like, why? Like, how are we going to get that to work physics-wise? Also, like, just conceptually. And we're like, well, maybe there are 2 layers of fluids of different densities. It's like, well, one could just be water. Oh, it's an ocean planet. Then we're going to toss them up with tornadoes because we can do that.
Makes me wonder if Jupiter is like that, or Uranus, or Saturn. Whoa.
My favorite planet is Giant's Deep, just because I love storms. Like I was really into tornado movies when I was a kid and that kind of stuff. So getting to make these giant tornadoes was a lot of fun for me.
We have the fluid system, which is like pretty simple, but it's a student project. You just sort of take the things you have and just reuse them over and over again. And so we use the fluid system for the geysers, for the sandfall on Hourglass Twins, for the water on Giant's Deep, for the tornadoes on Giant's Deep. It's just us reusing like the same idea. We're just gonna like take a force and fling something to sort of lean into the idea that it's just all these pieces moving around and you're just caught in the storm.
Dark Bramble.
Yeah, Dark Bramble is sort of a weird case. The challenges there were very different. The biggest challenge was just the scale of Dark Bramble. Because when you fly in, like, it's covered in fog, so you can't tell, but those environments, like, they're just huge in comparison to anywhere else in the solar system.
It was largely motivated that we wanted at least one of the planets to be a zero-G environment. And obviously there was something very large that we had to hide inside Dark Bramble. The planets in the game are like not that big. And we just embrace the idea of these sort of dimensional pockets that you fly through because it works really well with the lights.
Dark Bramble has ice around it. It's like, all right, easy, just make some ice. Well, it needs to look specifically like Dark Bramble ice, so when you see it on a different planet, you'd be like, hey, that's some stuff from Dark Bramble. I can't just make it look like ice because I used the ice-looking ice over here on like on the Comet or on Brittle Hollow or stuff like that. So it's like, okay, how can I make this ice still look like ice, but look different from this other ice?
They did a good job with that, though. Yeah.
A binary planet seemed cool, and just the idea that something could transfer from one to the other over, because we're just looking for ways that we can change things over time, ideally in a way that is like easy for us. And I remember originally it was like, oh, it could be like water flowing between the two. And then sand just couldn't resist the idea that of you getting closed into these space, just knowing you're like, oh my God, I'm trapped and I'm going to die. It's too good to pass up. In the final release, the tech and the art teams did some really cool stuff to make it look more complicated than a sphere getting bigger and a sphere getting smaller, but that's like all it is.
We think we figured out how to make the terrain on Timber Hearth, and you go to the Hourglass Twins and it just doesn't work at all. And so we had to come up with a different strategy there. And so each planet had that. And for the Hourglass Twins, it was that it's full of caves. And so, as I mentioned before, you have two different curvatures at the different heights of a planet. And for the Ember Twin, you have caves that slope from one of those to the other. So not only do you have two different curvatures, but you have a ramp that has to match one curvature at the top of the ramp and a different curvature at the bottom of the ramp. And then, you got to put all the props in there and make it feel good to move on. So it's just like a compoundingly difficult thing to do.
We didn't have it in the alpha, but we had the idea for it melting. And then Lowen was the one who did the first pass on it. And then at some point, I went and did a pass on the surface and came up with the idea, because the Comet wasn't that fun to navigate, just moving around on it, because there's not that much there. And it's like, well, what if the ice, if you can just like slide on the ice? Like, is that too goofy? Like, is that tonally dissonant with what you learn in the Comet?
And then it turned it into a mini game, essentially. You're the pachinko puck.
The hardest planet we often referred to as the final boss for the art team was Brittle Hollow, because it's the biggest planet because it has both an outside and an inside surface. It's one of the biggest planets just in terms of diameter, and then it's one of the most complex in terms of level design and pathing and all these different things that need to go there, like 2 giant Nomai cities. It was like the hardest for every discipline of the game, design, tech, art, like for everyone it was the final boss.
Brittle Hollow was originally had a molten core. There was no black hole. And the pieces, I believe the pieces, like when they got hit, they were gonna get jettisoned away from the planet. And at some point it's just like, this doesn't actually make any sense. Like why are they drifting away from gravity? Like, okay, can we make them fall in? How would we, where are they gonna go? They're just gonna okay, there's a black hole and it spits them out over here. I remember prototyping a version of that and then changing my mind and being like, no, this is too much. It's too crazy and weird, and it's not as colorful because the black hole's all dark. Let's just go back to the molten core and we'll add geysers that from the core that heat water, and the geysers shoot these pieces of the crust off into space. And then at some point it was just nope, the black hole thing was cool, let's go back to that. Yeah. And then weirdly the geysers ended up on Timber Hearth, and the idea of pieces getting thrown into space ended up on Giant's Deep.
It was like hard to tune the pieces falling at the right time because it's a simulation. They have hit points and they get hit by meteors and they fall, and it's not scripted in the sense of like it happens in a specific pattern.
Oh, really?
It took a long time for design to like lock it, and then art had to go in and, you know,
That's what I was wondering about.
just fill it out. And there's just so many rocks on that planet, just thousands and thousands of rocks. And we put all those there by hand. It's not like procedural. So we make sure that you can see in the right places and that it feels good to walk on and all of that. And then with that planet, you also have to make sure that like in between the crevices, you know, you can't fall through in some places, but you can fall through in others where you're supposed to. Pretty much any challenge that you can have, we did have there. And there's all the normal Outer Wilds problems of you have curved surfaces with different curvature based on where you are on the planet, which is not something that a lot of games have to deal with.
It was supposed to be a bit overwhelming at first, right? Because you arrive in a city and it adds to the whole feeling of wonder when you arrive in a new place. It's like, oh my God, there's so much. Each district has like one main piece of content.
Like the tower, I see.
The first thing you would find when entering the district. Like another one of the district, you arrive and there's a big waterfall that sort of like frames three we call them Nomai whiteboards, but there's only one of them has text on it. So you're like, okay, I probably need to find the other two somewhere, right? So the first thing players see or the first thing player experience should give them a question. And then like the natural impulse is like if the player has a question in their mind, hopefully by then they go, okay, let me answer that question. Whew.
That's funny. That's funny.
Mobius had made an entire solar system for the player to explore, but this solar system didn't have any explicit objectives, mission markers, or fast travel. So how did they let the player know where to go? And more importantly, how did they let players know when they had accidentally found something important?
We didn't want players to go look behind every tree and every rock and in every nook and cranny. So what he made sure of was that detail would always only be where content was. So like if you look at Timberhearth, you have like vast expanse of grass on the surface, and it's just grass, nothing there. And then each of the actual craters with content have incredible visual density of detail.
It was like a challenge of like trying to stick as close to the gray box as possible, because like every time it's like, oh, I'll put like a nice little tree over here, or like a pot, or like some sort of thing, and then like the designers would look at it and be like, oh, like actually there's like this very specific like viewpoint, you need to be able to see this clue that's like across this chasm. So if you put too much stuff though, you block the view, and it's like, oh god.
Lighting as well sometimes, just like if you keep everything relatively dark or like same tones and then put a bright blue or something light there, and it's like immediately you notice that. Audio as well, like there's the traveling music when you're traveling around, and then there's music when you're in places with content. So like if you enter a Nomai Ruin, suddenly piano starts coming in and you hear the music coming in. And so it's all this little subtle clue. If you don't have that instinct, there's something here, there's not something here. Because of the way we structured the game, it is very easy to hide things. We wanted certain paths to be the first path you use, just from a narrative perspective. It was a nicer way to find that place. But then we wanted quick shortcuts to get to back to these places. And we're all worried about how would we hide these, and like had all these, and it's like, no, it's because we trained the players to not look behind any nook and cranny. We learned a lot of things in relationship to player, the way people perceive things and the way, players naturally go about it. Some of it was frustrating, like the natural impulse to see text as lore was definitely something we had to fight against. the natural impulse that most players have to need a goal. Hopefully, more and more games do away with that, and so I'm hoping that slowly it'll be easier actually to do the sort of things we did in Outer Wilds as people get more like willing to set their own goals and get a bit more proactive in trying to read things as a way to progress.
Outer Wilds is such a complex design challenge that it's easy to forget the technical complexity of the project. While Alex and Lohan led the design team, the game's engineering was led by another duo. Technical artist Logan Verhoef had graduated CS Games at US Santa Cruz and was a year behind Alex and Lohan at USC, while software engineer Jeffrey Yu had graduated USC as an aerospace engineer with a minor in computer science.
So technical art is writing shaders that run on the GPUs. So like, as well as setting up particle systems and setting up lighting and that sort of thing. So I did a bunch of math that makes the singularities look like they do. I did a bunch of math that made our lighting work the way it does. Did a lot of tools work. Half the gameplay code.
Other than the designers, it's just the two of us doing all the code. So
yeah. This is Timber Hearth. This is what it actually looks like in our scene. Here's like the moon over here.
So how do you like work on this, considering it's like a sphere? Like how do you get in? And
you just learn how to sort of work like that. We're actually looking straight up right now, but because flying around still works the same.
Right.
You just learn to sort of work in this weird way. Sometimes people like work like this or something or that. Anytime I'm working on the underside of a planet, I have to do this sort of kick flip here. And now right and left is reversed.
Oh no.
But I remember that I'm in this mode, so I'm just automatically like, okay. Each planet is a rigid body, like a physically simulated like object moving through space affected by forces. And so is everything else, like everything in the game is. You know, if we were a different game, we could get away with saying like, you know what, we'll just fudge it. We'll just like, fake it when you're on this planet and it'll look right. But because Outer Wilds is a game about simulation and about truth in systems, that was top of my list for things I didn't want to do. Was fake anything. That is one of those things where we try to just like tighten it. We reduce the number of colliders on the planet. We reduce the complexity of them while still having it be a surface you can walk around on. So like if this coffee cup were a physics object, the rendering mesh has all this detail and curvature and all this in it. Physics could probably just be like a 8-sided cylinder, and that's enough. You can fly around, hit the wall, bounce off, roll around.
Maybe even make it just, a 4-sided one.
Yeah, if you don't need it to roll, 4-sided, if the player's just walking into it. So going in and finding places to cut back here and trim a little bit there is good. A lot of people wonder like, hey, are they like faking all the caves inside planets?
Is the zero-G cave, it's literally zero-G because it's in the middle of the planet?
Yes, yeah, because you're no longer being attracted to like the sum of all the mass. Now you're there and all the mass is around you. And so it's all pulling on you equally in each direction. So this is actually physically correct. If you leave a planet, we do a bunch of stuff to optimize it while you're not there. We switch to like a super low res version of the planet, handmade by like Lara or someone else.
Colliders.
Yeah, turn off a bunch of the collision so we aren't updating all this collision math while there's nothing there to collide with. We suspend a bunch of scripts and a bunch of objects. The issue is that if you leave your ship on a planet and you go somewhere else, it still needs to collide with stuff.
We need colliders there. So
and furthermore, for this philosophy of like the truth in the system, if there's a geyser going off and it should be hitting that ship, it needs to keep hitting that ship. If the sand level is rising and it's like trapped underneath something, it needs to respond to that.
Right.
That means we have to keep all the collision and scripts running when the ship is left on a planet. When you leave a probe on a planet, you need to be able to take snapshots of it from across the solar system, which means all the rendering, all the visuals need to be turned on.
And if you have it right next to the geyser has to go off.
Holy cow. This is like the part of like game making that like So crazy.
The worst thing you can possibly do in that game is have the scout, yourself, and the ship all on different planets. And if you really want to go hard, I put the Nomai shuttle on a fourth. But like, don't do that. It's because we have to render at least some of what's going on. Like if you leave your ship on Brittle Hollow and a piece breaks, your ship needs to go through the black hole and get spit out the white hole. If you leave it on Ash Twin, we need your ship to get sucked up by the sand funnel, even if you're halfway across, you got teleported to Giant's Deep or something. And that was really important to us. We tried really, really hard, and the tech team kind of worked really hard to make sure we didn't lose the sense that this is a world that doesn't revolve around you. Because that was one of the main design pillars. It's like not a player, it's not supposed to feel like a player-centric game. The world doesn't stop simulating just because you're elsewhere, right?
At one point, we thought about making this an achievement, but then thought better of it.
Oh, no, we didn't think better of it. Annapurna got miffed at us because one of our suggested achievements was called Critical Performance Hit, and it was leave your ship on one planet and your probe on another and go to a third. And they were like, you cannot have an achievement be the player crashing their PlayStation or Xbox. Like, no, absolutely. Are you insane? And we're like, yes,
we're
but
purposely making people get
good
frame
point.
drops.
Yeah, it's like, don't encourage people to do this. And we're like, okay, that.
Can we crash the game? I'm excited.
Not as fun.
Like everything in this world is moving, right? I guess the sun is maybe the only object that's not technically moving?
It is too, because the way we, with video games, you got to keep the camera near the center of the world's coordinate space.
Okay.
Or you start running into floating point error and everything starts kind of jittering. And so we have to keep the player near the mathematical origin of the world. And the way we do that in this game, a lot of games sort of, like you reach a threshold and they like reload the next zone, right? But because ours, everything's moving relative to each other, what I ended up doing back when it was a student project is just every time we apply a force to the player, we just apply an opposite force to every physics object in the world that's currently simulating. And it doesn't actually really do anything to performance because we're already doing that, right? We're already applying forces to every object because everything's moving. It's just another number on top of numbers. So when you jump in Outer Wilds, technically every planet's jumping out from under you, and you're more or less not moving. So it works, and we haven't changed it.
There's some like cosmic.
That's crazy.
Or something. Yeah. There's some like science. Yeah, that's like it makes me recoil a little bit hearing that.
I love it that because we're always like, oh yeah, and the player's not the center of the world, but technically you are, like literally the center of the world at all times.
That's the like a kind of a magic trick. If you think about
like
it that
the best sci-fi, Outer Wilds marries the technical with the emotional, and a large part of this heavy lifting is done by the narrative and musical score. For the story, Alex turned to his lifelong collaborator, his sister Kelsey. As children, they made silly plays together and stop-motion mock-ups of the Star Wars films starring Beanie Babies. Kelsey had been writing her entire life and had often used a tangential form of note-taking which inspired the Nomai whiteboards. I was eager to talk to her about the wonderful personalization of the Nomai using these interplanetary telephone logs. But unfortunately she doesn't live in the same state as the studio, so we did the next best thing and aimed our scout across the country at North Carolina.
Some of them are like literally just meeting notes. It's like, here's what we decided, and someone else is like, oh yeah, by the way, so-and-so wants to do this other thing. So having kind of a rationale behind why these things are getting written down and explained, to me just kind of added a sense of logic to what was going on. Yeah, a little less difficult to explain things because they're talking to each other. They need, everyone to understand what's going on. For how much Outer Wilds is a very narrative-driven game, I actually really love very character-driven writing, and a lot of my writing is like that. It's very intensely about characters and about their evolutions, and I think that's kind of what the difference, I felt like that was what was going to be the difference between having an interesting story with interesting characters versus the more tropey ancient alien civilization who was here before us and is smarter than we are. What essentially the player is doing is they're tracing the same journey that the Nomai took, and then eventually, spoiler alert, toward the end of the game, you're finishing that journey. And to really feel like you were connecting with the Nomai, I don't think people really connect with like a civilization as a whole. So I think it necessarily had to be very character driven, which was terrifying because, yeah, you don't see these characters. And also, I had a very small chunk of text to work with. And most of it had to be dedicated toward quickly advancing a complex story, and then also getting across your clues. And then, of course, the clues work as, you know, here's what's happened, here's kind of the next piece, here's where you should go to continue chronologically in the story, and then there's like a little piece that directs usually backward of like, here's where I'd go to check out where this piece came from if you want to trace it the opposite direction chronologically. And then it usually connects into other things depending on who the characters are in that particular, because I use certain characters are attached to certain plot lines. So that when that character is present, typically that's kind of the signifier that plot line is coming into play and intersecting with this other one.
How do we communicate this idea to players in a way that is like interesting narratively? Makes sense why the Nomai would even be talking about this. And is also like, you know, telling you, you read it and you're like, okay, I get what this text is actually communicating. And we just did just so many revisions of all of this and so many play tests.
This is how you used to read text in the game.
Oh wow!
Except it's not.
Is it busted?
Well, probably.
They were busted at one point, yeah.
Or you have to pull out your. Oh no, you have to pull out your translator.
Oh my gosh, I coded this.
Oh wow!
It does that faster now.
That's yeah.
From a design perspective, a certain amount of minimalism was actually advantageous. Like, knowledge is the only reward. So you learning, you know, things is the only thing you get. You know, it's really hard to do because players see text as lore that is not necessarily actionable. We really had to set the example of never having lore-only text, which also applies to other things, to have lore-only pieces of level design or part of the environment. So through design, we actually had to be pretty minimalist because we had to make sure everything was actionable and everything was pointing to the thing it helped you to do.
So originally, the ship log we knew we were going to need because we didn't want people to have to take paper notes. We originally only had the solar system view, where it's sort of the planets in a row. We added the rumor mode with the lines, the detective board, like a year before launch, because we just had some playtests. People just weren't understanding the structure of the game, like how to go about investigating. Let's just show them how we think about it, and like let's just put our design docs into the game, pretty much, is what we did.
Huh.
We needed ways to get people curious about things, and pointing your telescope at a distant planet and hearing a sound just seemed like a no, you know, it's like, well, yeah, of course people are going to want to go check that out. You can go to like NASA's website and there are these recordings of like sounds from Saturn where they sort of interpret data they've recorded. And there's just, we knew we wanted to have these travelers around the solar system on each planet, sort of as the trail guide, or the travel guides for each planet. And it was like, okay, they each play an instrument, and wouldn't it be cool if you could just pick up the music in sort of a whimsical fashion?
Back in the very beginning stages, we were talking about having the different travelers on different planets, and then I kind of
the myth, the legend,
the concept with Alex of having them like actually all playing the same tune, not having them play different songs. Like I was like, we should have them play together. So it's kind of grasp this approach where like no matter where you're at, like the world can be like a smaller place through music, and like you can be connected that way.
Yeah.
Hopefully captivated that message by having them all apart, but really they're all in sync, like in a certain way through this like tune that's really like a premonition to the end of the game. Really, it was based on like thinking about sitting around a campfire and something that's simple and easy to play but memorable. So like it kind of gets caught in your head. So I mean, really, the main theme is only like a couple bars long. It's about the joy of life and like the journey and like all the existential stuff that it gets involved towards the end of the game. Like, and it's sort of this theme that starts off like when you hear it first, like it sounds kind of happy, but over time, like it becomes this melancholy and like reflective piece. So that's kind of what I was aiming for, like this bittersweet, like nostalgic campfire tune. Really, like I want it to be like when music is playing, something important is happening. It's not just kind of like, it's important for it to stand out when it needs to, and when there doesn't need to be music, there shouldn't be. And especially like when you get into the desolation of space, I think it helps make it a little bit more fearful in areas where there's no music, because you really do feel like you're a little bit more alone, because all you're doing is like your breathing and stuff. That way people notice the music and like it actually is meaningful rather than always just being around.
Yeah. I dig that approach. I like it.
The second thing I ever wrote was the main title. So what I did was I went back and I recorded myself playing banjo with my 7 years ago self at the very end, just because I thought it would be cool to literally wrap the game up like when you first play it. Like it's like me playing at the beginning when we started and then at the very end. It's like multi-track banjo, and one of them is me from 7 years ago and one of them is me from right before the game came out. It's like May. Yeah, that's what I was like, I have to do it, I have to do it.
We talked to the team at Mobius about design for over 2 days, but as you know, time is precious, so we can't fit it all in the doc. So if you're interested in watching some bonus scenes, you can do so on our Patreon for the price of a few bags of marshmallows. Speaking of paywalls, Outer Wilds had what you might consider to be an untraditional launch. For PC, it would be an Epic Game Store exclusive, while on consoles, it would launch as part of Xbox Game Pass. We asked the development team about the reasons for both of these partnerships, and they said those decisions were made by Massey and their publisher, Annapurna. The game launched in May of 2019 and has been slowly building positive word of mouth as the studio continues to tinker on it. The Ash Twin project has gone through several redesigns as the final puzzle has stumped a number of players, while the game was brought to PlayStation 4 in October of 2019.
Yes, I would like to publicly apologize for the Ash Twin project puzzle. We are still working on that, actually. Yeah, we keep that was one where you just didn't have enough long form playtests. We did do long form playtests, and we knew that was an issue. It's not as easy as just going in and just telling people the answer, because we don't want to invalidate all of the other clues. So we're trying some new stuff with our new patch, actually. That's coming out pretty soon. We'll see. We're watching people play, streamers online, still taking playtest notes.
We've been really happy, with Game Pass. It has really brought so many people that may not have played the game, and now that they have, they're just enthusiastic evangelists for us. So that has been a really great experience. Because it's a game that's so easy to spoil, you try to say as little as possible, which makes it hard to sell. So like a game that is in itself a mystery will definitely benefit from a subscription service like that, because it's like people are like, they won't buy a mystery, but they may try out a mystery and then be like, oh my god, you have to try this.
I remember one of my favorite moments when we first showed the game off at PAX East. Someone was playing on Brittle Hollow and they parked their ship, and they went down and explored for a while, and then they were looking over and they saw a piece falling, and then their ship just sort of tumbled off the top of the fragment and bounced off as it was falling into the black hole. And they're like, my ship! And they were chasing after it as it's falling into this black hole. And I was like, all right, we made a cool game. I spent a lot of time on it. Several people on the team spent basically a year of our lives working on that ship. And we had all these grand ideas of oh, we want it to break apart, and we want all the little gadgets to be actually useful. And in the middle of development, when you're just trying to ship the game, it's oh, there's no way. It's just going to be a box that moves around. I guess we'll make it work. And then when we actually managed to get the damage in there, we managed to get the destructibility in there, and just the more little details we could add, it just really feels right. And seeing people fall in love with the ship and have adventures where the gravity crystal breaks and they're floating around, hurtling towards the sun, and they're trying to repair things, and it's just so exciting for me every time I see something like that.
Yeah, it's hard
I mean, when you're a musician and a composer, you want to be listened to, and you want to be heard, and have your voice speak a story.
But it's a very good gem once they find into it.
And finally, that has happened on a large scale where
it's
people are noticing my work. So.
It's kind of a little bit of a double-edged sword. So it's nobody will it's our little secret our secret club, right? It's you got the people who have played it, and then the people who haven't played it, and then we're oh man, we just played the most awesome game ever, but we can't talk about we can't talk about it too much. What makes it so great? Just play it. Yeah, I like it.
So it's finally stuff is.
I'm
paying
part
off
of the
after
club
all
now.
This time.
First
the community behind
the
Outer Wilds is really passionate about the music too, as well as the game. So that's been incredible to have people reach out and tell me how much the music means to them, or that they've been listening to it like nonstop. And I don't know, it's really like it feels really good.
All right, it's time we address the elephant in the room. There's probably a bunch of you who clicked on this video expecting us to be talking about something else. A different game set in space that came out in 2019 and was developed by a studio based in Los Angeles.
I think we were just in a class and a few of us were brainstorming. We were just tossing around ideas, words that felt good. I remember at one point we were like, cosmic wilderness. And then we're like, all right, well wilds is shorter, that, and then Outer Wilds somehow, like, we just, you kind of slot the words together eventually, and just like, Outer Wilds, yeah, all right. And it stuck.
Do you remember when you first saw that there was another game coming out that had a somewhat similar name?
I do, because it was almost exactly a year ago at the Game Awards.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Actually, no, we had seen it, they'd filed a patent or like a copyright. We had seen The Outer Worlds. I remember looking at that being like, wow, I really hope they hear about our game and don't do that. But the Game Awards, we saw that trailer and it's just like, all right, cool. The Outer Worlds and Outer Wilds together in 2019. They obviously are a bigger studio than we are and have a bigger kind of reach, and I think ultimately it's probably good for us because just people talk about it. They're like, wait, these aren't the same game? What is happening?
Have you ever met any of the folks from Obsidian? They're pretty close. They're in Irvine.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Oh, man. We've talked about that we should do some sort of cross-promotional thing with them. Right. Just just anything. Or like April Fools, we just actually switch our names. I think Logan mentioned that the other day. I was just like, oh, it'd be so good though.
like the Outer bundle?
Yeah, it's been a strong year for Outer games.
Yeah.
We've explored the origin of this game, the design of its planets, how the team guided players, the technical challenges, and the emotional core of the game. But Outer Wilds is more than a sum of its parts. It's the type of game that leaves you with a feeling that can't be explained. It has to be experienced. And for the team at Mobius Digital, the years-long cycle from award-winning thesis project to full retail release has been an experience all on its own.
I think the nicest thing is, even though working on the project has been super crazy, we haven't really had to crunch, and we all work reasonable hours. I think it's the fact that it's just a nice chill atmosphere.
We try to keep the work environment good and safe and make sure people don't overwork, but to some extent we did not as good of a work on that side for the leads. For me, Alex and Wesley, we both had to deal with a lot of stress, and so it was difficult, but to finally see the results, to hear from people. This dad who played the game with their, I think 9 or 10-year-old kid, and who told us that at the end the kid wanted to become an astronaut. I was just melting in my chair reading this, it's that sort of stuff. It's just like, oh my God, okay, this was all worth it in the end, yeah.
That's cute.
When we released it and we started to get feedback back in, just seeing the people who understood what we were trying to do. It's like people like the game for the reasons why we made it, and they got the story we were trying to tell. And I'm really proud that we told a story that could only, in a way that could only be told through video games. And because we tried really hard. We wanted to make something that couldn't have been made any other way. Yeah, that there's sort of this just connection with everyone who plays the game, and we added something meaningful to the lives of the people who played it is just really humbling, but an incredible feeling.
Thanks for watching our video. Shout out to all these patrons who have paid for all these marshmallows, which I've been gorging on for most of the shoot. They're really delicious. They'd be a lot nicer if we actually had a fire.
Well, Jacksepticeye played
setting
it too,
fires indoors is probably not a good idea. And California kind of frowns, frowns on people setting fires outdoors for documentaries about video games. So We just did it in post, I guess. Thank you so much for supporting our work. If you'd like to become a patron and get access to bonus scenes from this documentary and a bunch of other things, then please go to patreon.com/noclip and help us fund even more documentaries in 2020. This whole video is of just me chewing on marshmallows for patrons.
It was good. I like it.
They pay for the good stuff.
Yeah. Nom nom nom.
My God.
There's one that's
So
like
beautiful.
where we like lock, where it's like there's an IGF build, but with like a lot of the planets locked off. Because we
Okay.
don't want people to spoil themselves for the whole game.
Right.
So like if you go too close to certain planets, it like blows up the sun.
Oh, that's funny.
It's like there's like a spoiler warning around the planet.
Right.
And then there's like the original one.
Wait, what they say?
Up the sun.
They pay for the good
Build, but with like a lot.
My God.
There's one that's
So
like
beautiful.
where we like lock, where it's like there's an IGF build, but with like a lot of the planets locked off. Because we
Okay.
don't want people to spoil themselves for the whole game.
Right.
So like if you go too close to certain planets, it like blows up the sun.
Oh, that's funny.
It's like there's like a spoiler warning around the planet.
Right.
And then there's like the original one that we like took it down, but like you
Yeah.
can find it. It's kind of fun.
We should definitely get some footage of
This is supposed to be the tower that you. This is the tower of quantum knowledge. You have to wait for it to fall through.
Right, yeah.
Because except there's like. Oh yeah, that's the original one, right? That's not yours.
Yeah, it has a weird spinny.
Oh yeah, the tower I got by accident because I think
God.
I forget what happened, but
Oh, it caught on one object, but it.
I didn't
right, 'cause the physics
get the
actually,
tower
yeah.
thing until like it fell
Apparently-
through, and then I think I
Into the,
accidentally fell in.
Southern Observatory used to be a lot easier.
Ugh.
Enter profile name. I want to be Jackaboy. Oh, or do I want to be the Gaelic Gladiator? Much better. Top of the morning to you, ladies. My name is Jacksepticeye, and welcome to a delightful little game called Outer Wilds.
Can I listen to the sun? Heavy metal intensifies. What in a way? The Stanley Parable. I think what I'm gonna do. Later on. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do. Well, I'm gonna end it here. I gotta eat. I'm hungry. And then I think I'll start up the Stanley Parable tomorrow or something. So yeah, until next time. Thanks for keeping me company. Enjoy food. Well, do. All right. Bye, guys. Yes, yes, yes. Right. Bye. Bye.